Our boy Tyrone Tracy Jr. is playing on Sunday. Jonathan Brooks is out and Tony Pollard is unlikely to play. This is why we wait till Saturday to run through every single matchup to find the must-start and sit running backs in Week 9 fantasy football. So please go down there and drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel to show your support, because not many fantasy YouTubers are waiting until Saturday to give you a must-start and sit video. The New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers this week. Alvin Kamara is so clearly a must-start, you wouldn't even believe it. Carolina is dead last versus running backs here, and obviously his ceiling is so high because of the fact that this guy gets tons of receiving work while the rushing upside's coming back. They've got Derek Carr back, giving them the threat of the pass, and Kamara is going to feast on the Carolina Panthers this week. Chuba Hubbard, man, he is as close as it gets to being on the worst team in football and being a must-start, but I can't put him there because of how bad of a team they are. But New Orleans is 26 versus running backs. No Jonathan Brooks, so there's not even a threat, and I don't think there will be a threat. I think Chuba is the back you still want in Carolina. But this week, obviously, the matchup, 26 versus running backs is what New Orleans is. The matchup's totally there. I just really can't rely on Chuba Hubbard as a must-start this week because there is that level of doubt that I have that the Panthers end up getting absolutely pounded into the ground by the New Orleans Saints. So we'll just have to see on this one, but Chuba Hubbard, definitely a high-end flex guy. The Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. Tyrone Tracy Jr., as I just said in the intro, what a man. This dude's coming off a short week where he got a concussion on Monday night and really looked dazed and possibly KO'd at one point, and he's coming in and playing. He's ready to freaking go, and you fire him up. The Washington Commanders are 21st versus the running back position. He's been absolutely dominant, and there's not even a question. He's their RB1. This is the guy at this point. Tyrone Tracy Jr. dang well might turn into a league winner. I want all of Tyrone Tracy Jr., and I'm playing him over Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is questionable again. This guy's been plagued by injuries over the past month, but of course if he plays, I want in because the Giants are 19th versus running backs. Matchup makes sense. Brian Robinson Jr. on a potent offense, and he himself has been largely really good in fantasy. So if he's in, I want in. If he's out, I can't even say that Eckler's not a must-start. Like, Eckler's flexible, but I could easily just say McNichols is just flexible. He comes in and he's a boon for Austin Eckler because Eckler doesn't take 100%. McNichols gets carries, and he sometimes gets targets. So if Brian Robinson Jr. misses, one of these two guys is flexible, and one of them probably will get in the end zone. I just can't predict to you which one it is, so they're both flexible only if Brian Robinson Jr. does not play. The Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills this week. James Cook, fire him up. Miami's 18th versus running backs. They can get run all over, and Cook is a stud. Devon Achane is still a must-start. I got so much flack, and honestly, it shocked me because I said it in the running back rankings video. I had him ranked down at like 15, 16, and I got so much flack for it. Listen, it was never meant to be a slight to Achane. I think Achane's a great player. The reality is we've got so many top-tier running backs that are giving us 20 plus, 18 fantasy points per game that he didn't fit in there against Buffalo. I get it. Buffalo's 31st against running backs here. I understand why people were mad at me, but I'm just telling you, Buffalo is about to destroy the Miami Dolphins in this game. And I don't particularly want to have a running back that's getting destroyed. Now, obviously, he still must start because he's going to get the absolute targets here. But this guy is definitely dependent on targets this week, and I don't know if he's going to get in the end zone. This is a tough matchup here. So I prefer Cook over him. I definitely prefer an Alvin Kamara over him. I don't dislike Devon Achane, but he's not my favorite. Of course, he's still must start. But that definitely puts Raheem Mostert outside of contention for me. I don't want to play a running back that's going to lose this game. And Raheem Mostert is just not going to get great opportunities in this particular matchup here. The Los Angeles Chargers at the Cleveland Browns this week. And I think that this is a rough game for running backs. This is not a game I want to start either. J.K. Dobbins is definitely the best because Cleveland is 6th versus running backs. Really tough, but Chargers have a good offensive line, and J.K. Dobbins has looked really good. So if I had to play one, it's easily J.K. Dobbins here. He's definitely never going to be a bad play because he's done really well, and he's on the Chargers who want to pound you with the ball. But J.K. Dobbins is taking on a tough defense. Nick Chubb is a mid to low end flex. Listen, Nick Chubb, I've been saying over the weeks, What I wanted to see from him, he's actually done. That first week, he averaged like 2 yards per carry. I said, okay, if he comes in his second week back and averages 3+ yards per carry, I'll be encouraged. He did exactly that. Now this week, if he comes in, has 3.5, maybe close to 4 yards per carry, I'll be really excited. I don't think he's going to be a great fantasy game, though, because Los Angeles is third versus the running back position in fantasy. This is not going to be a matchup that I want to take advantage of with Nick Chubb. There will be better weeks if he can continue to improve on a weekly basis coming up here, but this is not a great game to play Nick Chubb in. The New England Patriots at the Tennessee Titans. This game sucks. This game sucks, even for running backs, and I think that they both have great opportunities. I prefer Ramondre at this point. Listen, with Ramondre, Tennessee's 10th versus running backs here, but it's so clear that he's so much better than Antonio Gibson. And I just think that with Drake May, that upside gets raised. And Drake May is playing. So I think that really at this point, Ramondre is not questionably the best running back in this matchup, because Tony Pollard probably isn't even going to play. The guy didn't practice this week. He's not looking like he's going to play. So with Tony Pollard, it would be such a shame too, because no Tyjae Spears again, and the New England Patriots are 29th versus running backs. So if Pollard plays, yes, play him, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So this is just a disaster for all sides involved, and I think that Ramondre is clearly the best running back option in this matchup by default, basically. The Dallas Cowboys at the Atlanta Falcons this week, and I think that Bijan Robinson is clearly a must-start, obviously. He's been fantastic lately, and Dallas is 23rd versus running backs. They are a disgrace on defense. They're not getting much healthier. I mean, they're getting healthier because their players are somewhat questionable, but Parsons isn't playing again, so I don't trust this Dallas defense as far as I can throw them. I'm playing Bijan Robinson for sure. Tyler Algier, I will play him over all Cowboys running backs. I don't care. Algier is definitely still involved on a weekly basis, and listen, he can get in the end zone. And this matchup is just great. And with the Cowboys running backs, listen, I've said it all week. The Cowboys running backs are coming into a situation where the Atlanta Falcons, they're not going to have a problem putting up points on the Cowboys. So they're going to be in catch-up mode. You know what tends to happen when that happens? Mike McCarthy strays away from the run. And we don't even know what Rico Dowdle's honest workload is going to be like. I'm not playing any of these Cowboys running backs. They're all disgusting in fantasy football this week to me. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals this week. And Chase Brown, I called him a must-start this week, and he is 100% a must-start. First of all, Zach Moss is out. That was never the reason why he was a must-start, though. Chase Brown has done well against these weaker opponents, which the Raiders are. 25th versus running backs here. And Chase Brown, it reminds me of this Carolina Panthers game where he clearly took over as the number one, and he got in the end zone twice because that defense sucked. I think we're going to see the same 20-plus point week from Chase Brown. I'm playing him in most situations this week. Can't tell you enough. I think this guy is a very good start this week. Alexander Mattison remains flexible, and I don't know how. I mean, he's just been better by all accounts than Zamir White, obviously, but at the same time, it just blows my mind. Like, this guy's just not been very good over his career, but he's getting the reception work, and he's now at this point leading the backfield, and the Bengals are 13th versus running back, so I don't love the matchup, and I don't love playing him ever, but he's definitely a viable option this week. The Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. You obviously play Derrick Henry. I don't care what the matchup is. Nobody cares, right? It's not just me. Derrick Henry, regardless of matchup you play him, Denver 16th versus running backs. I actually have said I don't think this will be Henry's week as far as like his best week, but obviously you don't sit him. I think that Denver will make a run at beating the Ravens at some point in this game. They're not going to, but they'll make a run at it at some point, and I think that Henry could kind of be capped a little bit with upside. This Broncos defense is tough. And then Javonte Williams is a low-end flex option. Very, very low end. I'd play Madison over Javonte this week. Baltimore's 8th versus running backs, and again, there's a split in this backfield going on. Just when you think you could trust Javonte Williams last week, he comes out and lays an egg versus the Panthers because they're giving the ball to Julian McLaughlin. Just stay away from Broncos running backs. If you have to play him, but I would try to stay away as best as I could. The Chicago Bears at the Arizona Cardinals this week. DeAndre Swift must start. Absolute fire him up. Arizona is 28th versus the running back position, and this guy has so been dominant over the past month of football. This guy has been a revelation for Chicago. They don't have a chance to win if he's not getting a bunch of carries. This guy is absolutely needed in this offense for them to have any chance of winning. This is a great matchup too. I'm playing DeAndre Swift. James Conner, I think, is a very high-end flex option. This is not a slight to Conner. This is a tough matchup. Chicago is 7th versus running backs. Their defense is going to come in mad as a hornet against the Arizona Cardinals because they got embarrassed in that Hail Mary attempt last week. So James Conner, high-end flex because he's still a stud, but this matchup is not my favorite here. Roschon Johnson, I'll say this. Always the chance of a touchdown here. Of course, Roschon Johnson is playable, just not going to be a guy that I am rarely going to say, like, you play him over an Alexander Madison type. I think I'd play Javonte over Roschon Johnson too. So there's just not much merit for me to put him in flexible territory. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, Saquon Barkley, fire the dude up. The guy's always must start anyways, and Jacksonville's 30th versus running backs. Their defense is a disgrace all across the board. So you're definitely playing Saquon Barkley. Honestly, make it easy on yourself. Don't play a Jacksonville Jaguars running back. Why would you? Tank Bigsby is questionable. Travis Etienne's a game time call. Philadelphia is 4th versus running backs. Make it easy and just make an executive decision. Do not play a Jags running back this week. I called Tank Bigsby a must-sit anyways, and I think even if he plays, you don't play him. This is a bad matchup, and this team is a disaster. The Eagles are just like a slam pick this week in all facets. On Underdog, for example, Jalen Hurts' projection on Underdog this week is 0.5 total yards. For new customers to get in and get free money, this is your week to do it. So go down in the comments, grab the link that's there, use code FVEN to sign up for Underdog. And when you take advantage of this sweat-free projection for Jalen Hurts this week, they'll match your first deposit 50% up to $1,000 of bonus cash, and you're winning free money when you hit the higher on this sweat-free projection for Jalen Hurts this week. The Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Kyron Williams, fire him up. Obviously, this guy's a stud. And they're 24th versus running back. Seattle is. So the matchup's there. Kenneth Walker, you still always play him as well. This guy has the ceiling that's totally elite. The Rams are 11th versus running backs. That's not good. And I've been saying for weeks, the Rams defense is legit. This is not a joke defense. They're getting better every single week as well. So I really do like the Rams as a defensive unit, but Kenneth Walker is still obviously a must-start guy, and you don't play either of their handcuffs. The Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. I love this matchup. Give me the matchup, man. Jahmyr Gibbs, you fire him up. Dave Montgomery, you fire him up. You want options in this matchup. Period. End of story. The only reason Josh Jacobs is not must start, number one, he's questionable. He's a true questionable. He says he's going to play, but he's definitely not going to be 100%. Number two, Detroit is 2nd versus running backs. This is not an ideal matchup for Jacobs, but in a lot of situations, I will play him exclusively because I want options in this freaking matchup. I can't tell you enough. With the Lions running backs, they're taking on a defense that's 17th versus running backs, and obviously, it doesn't ever matter. Like, the Lions' run game is just so potent against anybody. It doesn't matter. So I think that with Gibbs and Montgomery, they're clear must-starts, and I would play both of them clearly over Jacobs, who I think could struggle this week, but I do like the potential of playing him because he's in this potent offensive matchup. The Indianapolis Colts at the Minnesota Vikings this week is our next matchup. Sunday Night Football, I think this one has so much potential in scoring for fantasy as well. Jonathan Taylor, you obviously fire him up. I will say this, though. Minnesota is stout versus the run. 5th versus running backs in fantasy football. But Jonathan Taylor, not only does he get the upgraded quarterback with Flacco this week, but he's just been a beast. This guy is averaging like 17, 18 fantasy points per game. So this guy is just a stud. You don't ever sit him, but definitely is not my favorite matchup this week. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, good matchup. 22nd versus running backs is Indianapolis. So the matchup is clearly beatable. So you definitely fire both these guys up as must-starts, and then you don't play either of their handcuffs either. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Our Monday night game. Kareem Hunt's a must-start. Always and every day. Tampa is 27th versus the running back position in fantasy. You do not sit Kareem Hunt. He's getting 20-plus carries a game. He's so important to this offense, and the matchup is beautiful. And the Bucs running backs are not my favorite. I mean, really, this is a situation this week where Kansas City's first versus running backs in fantasy. Brutal matchup. They're the toughest versus running backs. Bucky Irving's coming into this game questionable. He did practice today because he missed Thursday and Friday practices. He practiced on Saturday, which is a good story for him. It really comes down to who's getting the receptions. That's really what it is. And they basically both have that upside, but neither one of these guys is going to be running the ball successfully. So who gets the most targets? Who gets the most receptions? They're both mid-end plays. I don't want to play either one of those guys particularly this week. So let me know how your lineup looks this week. And if you want to see where all these running backs ended up in my top 30 running back rankings this week, click on this video right here.